welcome back to Kipco Family Homestead. I'm so happy you're here. In this video, I wanted to share a story that's a big part of our life and who we are. This is our story of working towards self-sufficiency and returning to simple living and from scratch living. A craving and a desire to return to the simple ways that people used to do things after having tasted and experienced the fast-paced modern world. And this wood cook stove actually has a lot to do with it. And today I really would love to share that story with you. To some people, it seems like this is just a wood cook stove, but to me, it means so much more than that. Just the story of how we got this wood stove alone is amazing. So I started praying for God to send us a wood stove because that was one of the desires of my heart. And I really wanted to be more self-sufficient. I wanted to have a wood cook stove just because I love old-fashioned things. And I also wanted the security in case of power outages, storms, any kind of emergency. We're so dependent on the electricity that we live with on a daily basis that if any type of catastrophe or emergency or even a small power outage were to happen, we would be completely unprepared. So it was on my heart to get a wood cook stove, and it's been on my mind for a while, and I just started praying about it. I knew that they were expensive. I knew they were so hard to find. So I just started by praying. So my husband started the search for this wood stove for me, and he kept showing me, and they were all states away from us. We would have to drive really far, haul that wood stove back home, and it would be just such a hassle. And then finally, one day, he shows me a listing here in Georgia. It was about an hour and a half away from us, and he's like, but look at the price. There's no way. This is way over budget. There's no way we're going to get it. And I asked him, I was like, well, maybe could you just message the sellers? Maybe they would agree. And he's like, there's no way. We're not going to bring it down to our budget. I kind of let it go. And the next day I asked him again. I was like, well, it wouldn't hurt to just message them. And so he's like, all right, I'll do it just for you. So he asked them, would you accept this price? And they're like, yep, no problem. And we were shocked. We were like, what? There's no way. Because it was even more than, I think, half the price. And right away, we made arrangements. We drove out there to look at it, took the whole family, drove an hour and a half, met this great family. So they would collect and sell antiques, as I understand, and they were so sweet, so kind, and they were so happy to sell it to us and so happy to see it go to a family that will care for this beautiful stove. We shared with them what type of lifestyle we're trying to pursue, that we are all about simple living, all about homeschooling and teaching our children life skills on a daily basis. And I bake sourdough and cook and bake from scratch. I also shared with them that I make YouTube videos, so they were really excited to hand this stove over to our family. And we assured them that it was going to a wonderful home that's going to value and cherish this beautiful antique 1950s stove. When we were first planning on getting a wood cook stove, we imagined it much smaller. We didn't even imagine that we would get such a beautiful large stove for such an amazing price. And so we weren't sure where we wanted to place it at first. And then when we saw it and saw the dimensions, we decided that the best place for it would be this area right here. It's as if the space in this beautiful room was meant just to hold this wood cook stove of ours. In addition to taking one more step towards self-sufficiency with this wood cook stove, I also love just the charm and the character that it adds to our home now. When you walk into our home, and especially when you walk into this room and you see the wood stove, it just makes the atmosphere so warm and inviting and cozy. It doesn't even have to be on. Just the way that it looks as it sits there, it's just so beautiful, and everyone who walks into that room says that it makes them feel so cozy and so warm. Our wood stove definitely matches our lifestyle as we strive to be more self-sufficient and look for ways to break away from the modern day system. My husband and I realized that there's a huge blessing in modern day inventions, and they have definitely made our life easier. Things such as the washer and dryer or the dishwasher, but we also realize that there is a danger to it, a danger of getting too comfortable and losing important life skills and not being able to survive if, God forbid, something happens and there's no power or electricity or running water, which is another big thing that we plan for in the future, is to hopefully live on our own well one day. We definitely still have a long ways to go before we are even close to being halfway self-sufficient, but it's important to just take one step at a time and do the little things that you can do in the season that you're in, and that's exactly what we're doing. Now, to explain my kitchen setup, mentioned this in a previous video, but a few of you asked to share again. So my kitchen is situated in the middle of the house and it gets really dark there. And so I've always wanted a bright kitchen, but we're not planning to remodel our kitchen at the moment because we are hoping to move on to a homestead someday soon. And so this was the perfect solution. Not only do I get the wood cook stove, but I also get a clean and bright and airy space to cook in that sunroom where we have the wood cook stove situated. I use both of the kitchens, the inner kitchen and the secondary kitchen where the wood cook stove is. And oftentimes my daughter and I want to cook or bake something at the same time. So we're able to break up the work. She either goes out there and I stay inside, or I go to the outer kitchen and she can work in the inner kitchen. So it works out great. Another thing I wanted to mention is that in the winter time and just the cold months, which last winter, even though we live in subtropical Georgia, it got into the teens Fahrenheit last year. So it was literally like around 15 degrees. A lot of days were 20, 25 degrees, which is unusual for Georgia, but it happens. And so this wood stove was able to keep us very warm. We would open both of the French doors to let in all the heat, and it heated very nicely. So because this wood cook stove is such a wonderful source of heat, during these hot summer months, I probably will not be using it as much, just temporarily. But as soon as fall comes around, I'm so excited and looking forward to getting back into baking my bread and cinnamon rolls and dinner rolls and all sorts of wonderful sourdough things, because there really is something so much more special about baking those things over a wood fire instead of an electrical stove. So for those of you who asked questions about our stove, and those of you who maybe were just wondering, I hope this answers some of those questions, and I truly hope you enjoyed watching this video as I shared more about our beloved wood stove, and I hope you enjoy watching me prepare meals for my family on this stove as much as I enjoy preparing them and sharing those meals and recipes with all of you.